Howdy, lieutenants and economists.
The most volatile, evil, disgusting things on the planet, humans. If you have a video request, you can always go to assholeconsulting.com.
Yeah, I am gonna charge you, kids. And that is the importance of not fucking up.
You are such an asshole!
Hey everybody, we are back at HQ, back at home, and this here's a video request. And as always, if you have a video request or you need a question answered from your older brother type who's going to tell you the truth, unlike your parents, teachers, guidance counselors, and politicians, and the media types, go to assholeconsulting.com. The only problem, it costs money because I am an asshole. So, who wrote? Nick writes, "Hey asshole, I've only been subscribed to you for a few months, but really enjoy your videos and your books. Some quick background, I'm a high school senior living near Seattle, Washington with an IQ of about 150, good frickin' lord, and a 3.6 GPA. I don't have a job, girlfriend, or a lot of friends at the moment, but I do teach guitar to some of my fellow students on the side for money." Good, a little entrepreneurial background there. So I at least have that. I'm basically a loser, but thanks to you, I'm starting to turn that around. I don't know, 3.6 GPA, you're teaching money or teaching a gig on the side, I mean, your GPA, obviously, you get a 4.0, so you're kind of mailing it in there, but that's all right. You're not sloughing either. Well, of course, they all know to call me. They all know to call me when I'm doing this. I'm going to turn this off. Turn it off. Power off. There we go. While my generation is subjected to the same leftist socialist brainwashing as the Millennials and Gen X were, I've noticed that a fair amount of students in my school and my guitar students are actually financially conscious, sensible people who either aren't going to college or have ways to go to college without going into debt, although most of them support Bernie Sanders. So, I find this surprising given that I go to a relatively crappy school and that we grew up with baby boomer grandparents, Gen X parents, and millennial siblings. My question is this: do you think Gen Z is doomed to be the millennials version 2.0, or could we actually be a generation that does something worthwhile and turns things around? The short answer is no. It is interesting that your peers are financially conscious, but as is with the case with pretty much every group out there that either supports Bernie Sanders or the Democrats or the left, or I'm for the little guy, it is a naivete. If you actually survey people, including the black community, by the way, they are surprisingly more conservative, or they are conservative, or at least not Democrat, Libertarian, or whatever else have you. That's surprising. They vote Democrat all the time, but this has been one of the greatest triumphs of the Democrat Party, and this is why we have to take over the schools, or at least get it away from the clutches of the left, and that is how successful they are at brainwashing. You ask people on topic by topic, what is your position on gun control? What is your position on abortion? What is your position on gay rights? What is your position on taxes? And they answer them, and you say, like, dude, you are, like, way more conservative than voting for Bernie Sanders. Matter of fact, you're the opposite. But again, the biggest triumph of the left has been brainwashing young people in school, who then become old brainwashed people in college, who become old brainwashed people as adults, to constantly vote left because of simple things like they're for the little guy, they're for the little people, and evil corporations. I'm for profit, but I'm against the evil corporations. But they never study the budget. They never ask what tax rates are. They never actually calculate how much the government is taking and actually look at what's happening in the real world. So it's all emotion, and no one does more than this deep of digging, and they all just go with emotions. If you're an emotional person, if you're even a moral person, yes, I would like to help the poor. Yes, I would like to, but when it comes to practicality and actual policy, no, that takes too much time and effort. So you may be witnessing common sense, logic, wisdom, sanity, reason amongst your peers. But they are, as you notice, they're all for Bernie Sanders. He's a fucking socialist. Did any of your peers study what socialism has done to humanity? No. The only thing that's killed more than socialism is malaria or asteroids, even though humans weren't around technically when that thing hit. Regardless, I don't believe Generation Z is going to be anything better than the millennials. I think it's probably going to be worse. Just because that's the way the trend gone. The baby boomers were pretty much fuck-ups to begin with, but Gen X was worse. The millennials, holy fucking shit. And then Gen Z, by logic, by the trend, is going to be even more dysfunctional and worthless a generation. It is not until we can't borrow money, there's, the parents run out of money, grandparents run out of money, there's no private sector money, and the government can't just print off more money. Are we going to have an awakening or a generation that actually does turn this country around? There's an element of hope with Trump, or at least staving off, slowing the decay and the debt and all that stuff. But I sincerely doubt Gen Z has any hope, because it's the exact same setup of the millennials. You got okay, and here's the other thing. You got everything the millennials have. You have brainwashing teachers, leftist teachers, who are of Gen X and soon to be millennial teachers, who are just so fucking brainwashed to the left, they make the baby boomers look responsible. You don't have critical thinking skills. You don't have independent thought. And then everybody has been sucking your metaphorical dicks to make you think you're great, just like the millennials. So you're not even aware of the chance or the possibility that you could be wrong, just like the millennials. There's no changing. We're adding the exact same ingredients. We're following the exact same recipe. The only thing that's going to make Gen Z worse is I think you have Gen X parents. And Gen X, I know them. I'm part of them. They're fucking idiots. They're fucking morons. They're at least the boomers were brought up on private sector money. It was their parents that spoiled them. Gen X is the first generation, and certainly the millennials, where it's public sector and the government money that's spoiling them, with absolutely no strings attached. I mean, you watch F is for Family, Bill Burr's cartoon. At least there was a man there, sort of, maybe, adhering everybody to a budget. Now, no, everything is free. Everything, I mean, unlimited. And without a father figure around, with the government replacing everything should be free. There's absolutely no cost or consequences. There's no responsibility. You guys will probably be the first generation to have absolutely no responsibility and no standards to adhere to. So yeah, I think you're doomed to be a little bit worse than millennials. You can't be much worse. I mean the millennials are, and then we have a lot of millennial listeners here and young people like you who know I'm not talking about you. But you just look at these fucking dipshits like who are supporting Sanders and think everything should be free. I mean, my God. I mean, how much worse could you get? I think the only step you could make worse than what the millennial generation has done is start getting rid of the Bill of Rights, where, well, we have the freedom of speech, but you can't say this about this type of person or those type of people, and we're not only going to jail you, but we'll kill you or punish you if you do. I think that is the only way we start going after people's social rights and throwing them in jail because they're not saying what you want them to say. So that is about the only significantly way worse Gen Z can become than the millennials. But you guys have no hope, none whatsoever, unless there was, and it has to start at Gen Z. You guys have to start and say, I'm going to be an independent-minded person and start confirming things that my parents and elders and teachers and media and politicians tell me. Until you do that, and it's the laziest fucking proof on the millennials. You got the fucking internet. This isn't like you have to go and dig through microfiche like we did back in the 90s to prove your fucking professor wrong. Now you got it in your little phone. You can pull shit up and just say, hey, you're wrong there, prof. You're a fucking lying propagandist piece of shit. And you also need the balls to stand up to your teachers and professors. That being said, if you guys are finding ways not to go to college, that might be where you break the back of the left, and like if you all don't go to college and you don't get that further indoctrination and brainwashing, that might be the beginning of where you're like, fuck you, anyone with gray, I mean, now's the time really not to trust anybody over 30, and maybe that's it, but no, I'm sorry. I mean, you look at your peers all voting for Sanders, it's going to be version 2.0 of the millennials. So, anyway, great question. If any of you guys got a question, go to assholeconsulting.com, send your questions and your fucking money to me, and I'll answer your questions. Best of luck to all of you. Toodles.